Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you're watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Wii U and Switch. So continuing our circuit around Hyrule, unlocking all of the towers and the stables real quick before we continue on with our adventure. I'm hopping back on my horse, and here I am at Lakeside Stable, and I'm going to work my way towards the Faron Tower. Now there's a couple different ways to get there, you can come from a couple different directions. However, a lot of them require quite a bit of climbing, and you may even need to use some stamina food. However, there is a really easy way to get there that I think a lot of people miss because it's not marked super clearly, and it's not, like, this whole area is like so full of big trees that it's kind of hard to see what's even going on. But anyways, just to the bottom right on the map of where the tower is, there's actually this little incline that's super easy to climb. So you go right here in between Lakeside Table and Sargent Bridge. There's this little chunk of land right here where you can fly across the water to reach this lower portion where you can just walk right up to the tower, and it's super easy to get there. So of the different options, I think this is by far the easiest place to go to get towards the tower. Now once you get up on this platform, you'll see a new enemy that is called a yellow Wizrobe. Now this guy actually always has a lightning rod, which is kind of the lower end of those two. It's not really that big of a deal. I wouldn't worry about this particular weapon. We have better lightning weapons. If you really want a shock weapon, there's better ones, so I wouldn't worry about trying to collect it. But more importantly, what I want to point out is just the easiest way to defeat these guys is probably to throw a bomb at them to stun them, and then at that point run forward and smack them with a different weapon that does more damage. So once you've defeated it, you can explore the nearby holes. They contain a bunch of goodies, and in particular the one I want to point out is the fact that one of them contains octo balloons. Now these can be used to move the stone slabs to get them off of the other holes which contain goodies. In particular, the ones that are most noteworthy is the fact that one of them has a chest containing a silver rupee, which is worth 100, and that's awesome. Now, also, too, just so you know, if you run out of octo balloons, you can grab some more by killing the nearby Octoroks that are in the pool to the north, so that would be one option for you. Otherwise, another way to make these move is to simply use stasis on them, and then smack them with weapons. So ideally, you want to use an iron sledgehammer if you have one, but you can always use something else. It doesn't really matter too much, but just smack them a couple times with a weapon after you've stasis them, and this will knock them out of the way. Now, regardless of which method you use, whether you're using octo balloons or you're using stasis to move these slabs, then you'll be able to access this one that is to the far south. This is the one that's the most important in my opinion, that contains an air geyser. Now, this is cool because it allows us to hop in and we can use it to ascend a majority of the tower without having to climb the entire way, because there's not very many portions for us to stop and regenerate our stamina. So as a result, we are going to run out of stamina very quickly. So what I'm doing is I'm flying up to ascend like half the tower, and then I can climb the rest of the way so I can save myself some stamina. Now I do only have 2 stamina upgrades so far, and that was enough for me to climb the rest of the way without using any dishes at all, which is great. But yeah, it's up to you to decide whatever thing is the most worthless, if you would rather hang on to your stamina dishes or you want to hang on to your weapon durability / octo balloons, whichever thing is the most important to you to hang on to. So whatever thing is expendable, that's the thing I'd recommend you use to climb the tower. One thing I think is strange about this game is sometimes the placement of these towers is a little bit weird because, like this one, for example, this tower more so encompasses Lurelin Village in the bottom right, and it encompasses half of the rainforest here. The other half of the rainforest is actually in the lake tower area, which is kind of weird. So it's like, I don't even know how to explain. It's sort of weird. This isn't necessarily the rainforest tower as far as the area it reveals anyways. It's just sort of strange how they have this whole thing chopped up. All right, Faron Tower. So this area of Faron is kind of from here it goes meow, follows the road, and then it goes across the water and just follows this whole this mountainside and goes meow across here, and it goes all the way around here to this shallower area, and then follows Cape Kales and goes all the way to the right, meow, so it encompasses basically the entire bottom right corner of the map. Things to pin here. A couple things worth noting is one of the most important ones, even though probably if you're following along with me, this should be in the black area. You haven't uncovered this yet, but try and place a pin somewhere over here, just southwest of Faron Tower, and then we'll get this pit placed more accurately later. But Heron Lake, there is a Hinox here. Now remember I was saying earlier in the game that some enemies, their weapons and the type of enemy it is, scales with the game, and other enemies and items are always the same for the entirety of the game, so you can get some really high-end items at the very beginning. Well, this particular Hinox has a royal bow and a royal broadsword at the very beginning of the game. It has it for the entire game. The last item scales with those things, so it scales with the divine beasts and the shrines. But meanwhile, those 2 items will always be the exact same. So, early game, this is amazing. This is a great place to get royal weapons at the very beginning of the game. And the easiest way to get it is to warp to Faron Tower and then just sail over and land on its stomach and steal the items and warp away. So super easy, and you can do that every blood moon. So it's a great way to get royal weapons, which have a lot of durability and do really good damage. So that's all wonderful, and that's one of the better bows in the entire game. So yeah, that's great. So similarly, kind of there's a Stalnox right here. I don't think this is worthy of a pin because it just has a Great Flame Blade. I think Great Flame Blades, the two-handers, are the most common elemental weapon in the entire game. You see them all over the place. And if you really want one, easiest place to get one of those is over here at the Ancient Tree Step anyways, so I don't think it's worth a pin here, but I'm just commenting on the fact that there's a Stalnox here. Let's see, other things worth noting. There is a bunch of really awesome fish. You can get Mighty Porgies and Armored Porgies here in the water. These are the locations. So from the Muad'Dib Shrine, it's like a little bit northeast, southeast, and then like south by southwest is right here. You could have just one pin here because I am like running low on pins. I only have 3 left, for example, so you could have just one pin somewhere over here. You can find them really easily. They have birds floating above them, so it's not hard. You just go in the compass directions and then just like go towards the birds and you're good to go. So you don't really need all these exact pins. But anyways, other things worth pointing out, there is a decent farming spot right here. I guess it would be material, either that, or I guess you could do it gems. I don't know, whatever you want to do here. But this whole shelf right here of mountain has a whole bunch of luminous ore veins, whatever. So you can get them pretty easily by either warping to the top of the dueling peaks. So if you go around here and climb up and unlock that, then you can just run down here and just go straight here and bam, grab all these. Now they're really easy to get. As a comment, you ideally want to use weapons. Don't use bombs because bombs will make the ore go flying. It'll land down here and you can't get to it without, you know, falling all the way down and having all the enemies attack you. But if you use weapons instead, such as the sledgehammer, you can then collect all the goodies without having them go flying. There is a bunch of veins of luminous stone down here as well. However, they're guarded by a whole bunch of yellow Lizalfos, and that can be kind of scary. If you have Majora's Mask or the Lizal Mask, then you can just run past them all, and it's fine. But just be warned that it is kind of a scary place to be. Alright, so one of the next things worth noting to pin over here is over here in Uton Marsh, which is just south of the Tawa Jin Shrine, there is a Hinox. This one always has Dragon Bone weapons, in particular the Dragon Bone Spears. Those are pretty rare. You don't see them very often. It's basically just Lizalfos in very obscure, out-of-the-way places that usually have them. So Dragon Bone Spears, you can get them here from this particular Hinox. It always has them on its chest. So if you warp here, land on his chest, and then grab them and warp away, it's really easy. So if you are quite specifically doing a Radiant Bone build, otherwise aka a Phantom Ganon set, then this would be a good option for you if you specifically want to use spears. That's very obscure. I don't think most people would do that. The Dragon Bone Moblin Clubs are definitely better as far as to optimize your damage the most, especially when in combination with like a Blizzard Rod or something, but it's an option. So if you're not doing any, if you're not interested in that very specific build, then go ahead and just delete that pin. It's not worth it. Other things worth noting over here is this is a pretty decent spot overall to get Fleet Lotus Seed. I think there's better places. In particular, I think the best place in the game by far is over here. You can get the just to the east of Solari Hill and the Manyatoma Shrine. You can get a whole bunch of them right here, super easy. They're also pretty plentiful over here, like up in this area near Lineback Island, and also just south of Shrine Island. Although there is a Guardian Stalker here, so just be warned of that. But anyways, so Fleet Lotus Seed, you can get some Fleet Lotus Seed here. It's kind of, especially if you have Majora's Mask, you can run through here. There's a lot of nasty enemies here. But otherwise, this is the best place in the game to get energetic Rhino Beetles. Now, generally speaking, I don't think they're super worthwhile. However, especially if you're trying to complete your compendium and you're like really struggling to get that particular one, get a picture of those, this is where you find them. By the way, just so you know, energetic Rhino Beetles are only out and about between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So it's only during the day. You don't see them out here at night at all. Let's see, other things worth noting. You can get hardy durians in Faron. It's kind of like the place that's known for that. I think the easiest places overall to get them is up here. So you go to the shrine and then just go just north of it, and there's this little platform here. There's a couple of Zalfos here. You can run past them and ignore them. But there's a bunch of trees here that have hardy durians, and there's some more down here. Those are the easiest ones to get. There's some more in obscure places, but I think they're a little bit harder to get to. So those are the ones that are worth farming. You grab them and just come back here every blood moon. Overall, just so you know, hardy durians, the best place to get them in the game is over here just to the east of the Magwatan Shrine on Mount Satori. There's this little pool here, and there's like 11 of them or 10 of them or something like that right here, and they're really close together, easy to get. But if you get these every blood moon, you have enough hardy durians to last for the entire game. It's great. I mean, seriously, like, look at that. You get 10 of them here, and you can cook each one of them to get a full, to completely restore your hearts. It's crazy, like, so good. So anyways, that's all wonderful. Let's see. So another quick note about that, you can also use that. You can warp here and then sail all the way over, like sail here, and then just run along these little platforms, like climb over here, and then go all the way up here, and then you can use that to climb just right there, to get up here to get to Riola Spring. This is the last place worth pinning that I would mention is this is the spot where Farosh, the dragon, one of the dragons spawns. Now, Farosh can be farmed, is the easiest dragon of them all to farm for dragon parts, and dragon parts can be used to make some of the best meals in the entire game. Super, super good. They give you 30-minute buffs and also give you other bonuses, and they can also be sold for a whopping 300 rupees a piece. So you can make something like 300 rupees every 10 to 15 seconds or something like that. So it adds up really quickly. So anyways, this is the fastest way to make money in the entire game. Super, super good, but just super valuable materials anyways, which you also need to upgrade some of the highest tier armor in the game. But anyways, this guy is the easiest one to do, and the place you want to pin for that is right here. It's in this little kind of almost cavey looking thing. This is arch right here. And you want to place a pin here because this is the best place to put a campfire so that you can make the dragon spawn each morning. So to get there, the easiest way is you can climb. It's actually not too bad as long as it's not raining. It just doesn't happen to be raining that day. Like, you can warp here and just see what the forecast is. If it says it's going to rain soon, then don't bother. Otherwise, you can warp away or place a campfire there and start our day over again and then go for it. But you can go to this shrine and then use the Zora Tunic to go up the waterfall. Otherwise, you can use this method I just mentioned, or you can warp to this shrine and run all the way down. It's a little bit of a run. You can take a horse for most of that distance and then finally get here. Otherwise, another option is you can take this shrine and then use the Rivali's Gale to climb up, at least here anyways. And you're probably better off just going the long way around at that point. It's probably easier. But yeah, as opposed to climbing up here, that is. But yeah, that's like everything to pin here in Faron. So I'd say the most important pins by far is going to be this guy, the Hinox, to get royal weapons, the fish pin over here, and then also the dragon parts. Super important. So the first thing you want to do is sail towards Heron Lake to the southwest, and unfortunately this is probably still going to be in the dark for you because I haven't unlocked the lake tower yet, so you probably haven't either if you're following along with me. But anyways, there is a Hinox that is over here at Heron Lake, and you can easily land on this chest. You have more than enough elevation if you're coming from Faron Tower, so it's really easy to go here. Now this Hinox, the weapons around its neck will respawn every blood moon, and these particular weapons, one of them will scale with the game. It starts out as a Knight's Claymore. It'll steadily upgrade until it's a Royal Claymore or whatever, but otherwise, the other weapons are always Royal quality, even at the beginning of the game. So this is a really great way to get some easy, like, free Royal weapons early on, which is really great. So you get both a Royal Bow and a Royal Broadsword. Now the Royal Broadswords in general I don't particularly care for, like, they're okay. I find I generally like either spears or two-handers better myself, but this is still really nice. And the durability on this lasts a very long time too, so it's not going to break as easily as other weapons we've been using so far. Now the Royal Bow, on the other hand, is like one of the best standard bows in the game. It's just really good, so it's nice. There are some better bows out there, however, this will do for most of the game anyways, and it's great, so we'll be able to get a whole bunch of those. Honestly, the bow you're probably going to hang on to for a long time. Alright, so next you want to hop back on your horse. So I left my horse just south of Faron Tower, so I sailed south, went across the river, got back on my horse, which I left on the road, and I'm continuing along the road, working my way west to get to the lake tower, which is near Lake Hylia. Now, along the way, though, there is a couple different highlights we can grab, and one of those is at Zonai Ruins. This is the best place in the entire game to get sunset fireflies. Not that they're really that hard to find anyways, they're pretty common, but they are an ingredient we're going to be needing to upgrade the stealth set to get it to a higher tier, so it is worth more armor, which is just a simple thing, or something that we're planning to do here very soon anyway. And these ingredients, they're so plentiful here that it seems like a shame not to grab them real quick. You can get them other places and stuff. You can get like 2 or 3 here and there but there's just so many in this location that I think it's a shame not to do it as long as we're passing through. So throw down some wood and then light it on fire with either a fire weapon, a fire arrow, some red chew jelly, or some flint, and then you can use that to change the time of day. Make it night because fireflies are only out at night, and then put on all of the stealth outfit. I only have one piece on right now. I was just feeling lazy, but I should have totally swapped out the rest of my gear because it makes the fireflies much less likely to run away. So with max stealth, or I could just eat one of my stealth dishes. That would have been another thing I could do too, real quick. If you don't have the stealth outfit yet, that's another alternative for you, is just eat some of that stealth food with the silent shrooms that we fried up before. That would be a good recommendation. Anyways, the fireflies will run away when you make sudden movements. If you jump around them, make too much noise, they'll run away. But one thing you can do to make this a little easier, especially for the ones that are up high, because if you jump at them, they'll run away, and so you'll startle them all off. But you can sail to them, so climb on top of one of the nearby trees, and then jump at them and sail over to them and just mash the A button as you're like flying through them. and this will allow you to collect a whole bunch of them that you wouldn't normally be able to reach. So ideally you can grab a whole bunch of them before they get started off, but that will allow you to collect a whole bunch of these so that we can upgrade the stealth outfit soon. Now, as long as we're here, you might want to speak with the accordion-playing Rito here, Cass, and he has a shrine quest available for us. Unfortunately, there's not anything we can do with that for now, so you can get the quest if you want to, we just won't be able to complete it for now. But I will be coming back here at a later time to do that. Right now, I'm just trying to do the bare bones, like get us some teleport points, and that's it. So to that end, for example, up ahead, there is a shrine that I'm not going to do right now. It's a minor test of strength. Honestly, not that hard. However, I'm going to come back through and do like a whole bunch of test of strength shrines all at one go once we have some damage buffs. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this shrine just so I have a teleport point, and then we'll continue on along our merry way. Now, as long as we're here, there is actually a nearby chest we can grab. Now, normally, I'm trying to ignore a lot of the chests right now. I continued onwards, and then I remembered this one real quick, and so I turned back around and came back this way. So near that shrine, you want to continue on towards the north, a little bit to the right and to the north. There is a pool here, and there is a circle of leaves. Now, as long as you're here, or this lily pads, whatever, anytime you see circles of lily pads like this, try to jump at it from a higher elevation. So I just jumped from these rocks here, and this makes a Korok appear. So I'm just getting that as long as we're here, might as well. But just underneath that, there is a metal chest that is in the water underneath the rocks there. You want to go ahead and pull it out with magnesis to get a gold rupee, which is worth 300. Now, in general, I think a lot of these chests, they're kind of far out of the way for the most part. Some of them do have like 50 rupees. Occasionally they have 100 rupees, not very often though, but I think the 300 rupees, especially like this one, it's right next to the road, super easy to get, we might as well. So continuing onwards, continue on towards the west. Now once you get to this campfire, you want to turn to the left, and this leads to the south where there is one of the stables. As far as being able to explore Hyrule, I think that unlocking the stables is like a really high priority because it allows you to navigate the land very easily, because you can just bring your horse to any stable. You can just take them out of the boarding place like whenever you want, regardless of your horse's current location, which is actually kind of weird, doesn't really make sense. I didn't realize it worked that way at first, so the first time I played this game I thought it was just like Skyrim where your horse is always going to be where you left it, and I just was like, ugh, so bad, you know? But now that I know how stables work, I think it's amazing, and you should totally get all of these stables as soon as possible, because then you can grab your horse and then just, like, you know, spiderweb your way out of that and collect all the things nearby. Alright, so as long as we're here, I'll go ahead and do the Makagh. Now the first thing you want to do is go ahead and break the nearby cracked blocks on the left side of the room, and then what you can do is you can grab this doorway. Apparently this one is loose and you can grab it, which is great. So use magnesis, you can go ahead and kill the enemies with it if you like. I just think this is fun. Like when you have great big pieces of metal, it's just awesome. I think part of it is just the sheer difference in the size. It just feels more powerful. You're like, yes! Like, I don't know, they just don't stand a chance. This shrine is pretty simple. All you have to do is knock down all of the blocks that are on the upper platform to get a chest that contains an opal. So you just knock that down, go ahead and open that. The other chest contains a traveler's bow. Now I do think that this bow will technically upgrade if you like do some more divine beasts and then come back here, but of course by that point you have better bows that you have access to anyways, so it's not worth it. This bow is garbage. So go ahead and open that if you want to, but anyways, to continue on, to get to the shrine bro, all you have to do is just use the doorway to make a series of bridges and make a ramp on the final platform so that you can reach him up on the final area. I've mentioned this before, if you're ever fighting your horse because it's just like acting funny and it won't go down a ledge even though you're like, I just climbed that, I should be able to, then all you have to do is you can just hold Z and sidestep, and that allows you can climb and descend more things sidestepping with a horse than you can going forward or backwards. I don't know why it works that way, but anyways, if you're in an awkward position, sometimes you can just sidestep a little, like you go forward, then your horse stops, you sidestep a little bit, and then you continue going forward. So there's little ways like that you can like manipulate the terrain in order to allow you to proceed, even though normally you wouldn't be able to with a horse. Ironically enough, horses actually can climb mountains if you do it right. Not all, if it's too steep, of course, it doesn't work, but you can actually work with it a little bit, and you can get your horse places that you normally wouldn't be able to at all, and it's kind of funny, actually. But yeah, just a quick tip for you if you ever are struggling trying to get your horse somewhere, that's a way you can kind of work around that and make it work anyways. Up ahead, what I'm doing is I'm switching to the stealth outfit so I can get some of these frogs and the butterflies. In particular, I thought there was a different kind of butterfly here, so that's what I was trying to make sure I got them, but these were just summer wings, so they're not super exciting. So this fountain belongs to the horse god Melania, who is super creepy, by the way, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But anyway, in the far back left corner, there is a DLC chest that contains the Ancient Saddle. This is a super awesome item that will allow you to summon your horse whenever you want. Super, super good. And as long as we're here, we should totally grab some of the Endura shrooms nearby because they're right behind the fountain, and they're super easy to get, and it's just good items. Just free enduring dishes, like, yay! But yeah, the saddle is amazing, allows you to summon your horse whenever you want. DLC only, so that is one of the cooler items, in my opinion, for the DLC that makes the horses go from being, like, pretty darn good to being awesome and super worthwhile. You should totally get like a good horse and be able to summon it whenever you want. Makes all the difference in the world. But yeah, Melania, what she does is it allows you to pay rupees to bring your horse back to life if your horse ever dies out in the wild. So if something happens and you have a big oopsie moment, you can then bring it back to life by paying rupees at Melania's fountain. So anyway, now that I have both the Ancient Saddle as well as the Ancient Bridle that I got at Mount Satori, by the way, now that I have both of those items, I can put them both on so I can summon my horse whenever I want. Super good. You can change your horse gear at stables. However, I'm not going to do it right now because I'm trying to just go. I'll do it the next time I unlock a next stable. I realize it's just like barely out of the way and the stable was right there, but I'm trying to just like keep moving and be like super efficient and stuff like that. We're taking a nice path anyways. It'll be fine. So anyways, continue on to the north, go back to the campfire, this time take a left to continue on towards the west. This will lead to Lake Tower. You know, and of course it just makes sense that we've been galloping around Hyrule for a while and it's finally time to start climbing things and then it starts raining, because why wouldn't it do that, right? So next I'm just going to work my way towards this tower. This is one of the easiest towers to get in my opinion. There is a lot of enemies here, but there's a lot of cliff faces and stuff that can block line of sight. And especially if you wear some stealth outfits, it just makes it great. You can just run right past all these guys. You can fight your way through these enemies if you want to, but there's no particular reason to, both because they're kind of like mid-quality. They actually do hurt a lot at this point because I have so little health. But they don't drop any good monster parts, and all the weapons they have are kind of garbage, so there's not really a reason to fight them. We don't get anything good for it, so you can just ignore them. There's no reason to fight any of the enemies around here. So instead, just work your way straight to the tower. I'm doing this by using the stealth outfit, and as long as you hang kind of wide, like a little bit ago you saw me run past some bokoblins, and it took them, by the time they even realized I was there and they were alerted to my presence, I was already running past them and it was too late for them anyways, so it doesn't matter. Now, I've mentioned this before, but stealth food is a decent option too, because you can fry up some silent shrooms in particular. Those are really easy to get, and 5 silent shrooms will give you a dish that lasts for 10 minutes and gives you the level 3 stealth buff, which is great. That's perfect. That's all you need for the entire game. And 10 minutes is a long time. That gives you way more than enough time to climb a tower. You know? I feel like now that I've played this game a lot, I've kind of realized that it's like food is just an alternative to getting the armor, or like in a lot of ways they're interchangeable. You could spend the same amount of time farming the materials to get the buffs you need for the only times you need them in the game, or you can spend that time getting the materials you need to upgrade the armor, and they kind of equal out in the end. The armor in the end takes longer. However, if you're going to be playing the game for a long time anyways, for the total amount of game time you're going to have, it ends up being more worthwhile in the long run. Of course, on the flip side of that, though, if you know all the best farming locations for each of the ingredients, you can upgrade your armor just bam, like that, just super, super fast, and then it's just really overpowered. You go from, like, nothing to having the best armor in the game, you know? So, just really overpowered. Welcome to my walkthrough, guys. Alright, so Lake Tower. So, Lake encompasses everything from, starts next to Faron, it kind of goes, or Faron, it goes, mew, kind of along the road here, goes across the water, goes along this whole, like, upper area, then it goes over and around, and it encompasses Dea Ruins, and then it goes meow, finally goes through this whole canyon, meow, right along this mountain, and finally goes to the water. So that's Lake. One of the things that thinks is weird about this is the fact that all this Dimel Forest and stuff like that is all part of Dracozu Lake, is all part of Lake, even though it's like super Faron-y feeling to me. But anyways, things worth noting here is, just so you know, this is a pretty decent spot to get a whole bunch of Luminous Stone in particular, and Yellow Lizalfos. If you're wanting to hunt down Yellow Lizalfos for Lizalfos tails, this is probably the best place in the game to do it. So that would be just something worth noting in particular. Other things worth noting is right here there's a bridge. This is the best place in the game to get Sunset Fireflies, so if you come here at night, there's like, I don't know, 50 of them. It's crazy. You can't get all of them because it's like impossible to not startle them away. However, if you just come back every once in a while, you can totally get all the Sunset Fireflies you need in order to upgrade your gear. I don't really think they're worth farming otherwise, though. It's just once you get all the ones you need, then you're done. Other things worth noting, this spot right here, kind of just near the Pumagnetai Shrine, is like, it's, I would say it's like a decent spot for like mid-tier ingredients. So like a lot of like iron shrooms, for example, and hardy radishes, not big hardy radishes, but just regular hardy radishes and stuff like that. You can get a bunch of those kind of things in here. It's just kind of okay. There's not really anything super low tier here, but there's nothing super great either. It's just kind of okay, but it's really safe. There's not a lot of enemies. Other things worth noting, you should totally pin where the Great Fairy is, right here, or this is the Great Horse God, whatever. So you should totally pin that. Other things worth noting, there is near Harfin Valley, there is a Hinox. Now this is, this one has a Frost Spear. So if you go here at night, you warp to the Lake Tower and then just warp down here, fly it all the way down here and land down here and attack it. You can get a Frost Spear whenever you want. Now again, I think generally speaking, as far as elemental weapons, the spears are generally speaking the best. As far as the Frost variety, though, I think that overall a Blizzard Rod is just better by far. You can kill way more enemies, fire enemies anyways, with a Blizzard Rod than you can with a spear. So I think like a fire spear is best for the fire category, and I think a Blizzard Rod is best for the frost category. But still, frost spears are cool, so if you want one, this is the place to do it. Other things worth noting here. There's a pretty decent spot to farm for horses all in here. They're pretty high stats, however, there's a lot of enemies in here. Other things worth noting, this is probably one of the most important pins. I included this when I was talking about the Faron Tower, but it's actually part of Lake. But there's a Hinox here that always has royal weapons, even at the beginning of the game, so super powerful. The best way to get there is to go to Faron Tower and then fly over here and land on this chest. So I'm just zooming in so you can see exactly where that pin is here at Heron Lake. But yeah, super important, totally pin that. And that's pretty much it for Lake. There's nothing super interesting worth noting. This is one of the best places in the game to get Sneaky River snails, is all through here. You can get, they're in clusters here. There's 5 in each one of these, 5 I think it is, in each one of these little, broken down wells. There's a well here, and there's a well like down here somewhere, and there's like 5 Sneaky River snails in there, and there's also a whole bunch of them here. There's like 2 or 3 in each. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. It's like, there's so many of them in here. It's crazy. I don't think it matters too much, but I'm just pointing out those things that are here. Before you leave, you should totally grab the nearby DLC chest. It's over here just like southwest of the tower. Super easy to get, really close. We should totally grab that before we move on. So it's just in the water. You just have to use magnesis to pull it up, and this is only available if you have the DLC. Just want to carefully lower yourself down. This was all went according to my plan. I'm a professional, guys. Like, hit the first ledge and used a fairy, and then fell down the rest of the way and used a second fairy. Like, so bad. But I actually was laughing so hard when I recorded this. I was doing it live on Twitch. They were like, oh man, you're gonna re-record that? Because I've been re-recording sections. I was like, no, see, here's the thing. Let me explain. I'm recording a walkthrough. Like, I do record when I mess up, but it's more like if I mess up as far as walking the wrong direction, or I'm looking the wrong way, or whatever, or I start like talking about the wrong thing, or whatever, going to the wrong quest, and stuff like that. Because then the order's all messed up and stuff. I'm doing a walkthrough. The point is, if the gameplay is confusing, and if people aren't sure what's even happening on screen, that's bad, and I need to re-record it. But if I'm concise and I'm going the right direction, and if I mess up along the way, I don't care. In fact, moments like this is exactly the kind of things I like, because it's a great teaching moment and explains, this is a perfect example of why you would want to have fairies in your inventory. So it actually makes me excited. It's comedic, and it's relatable, and it's just great. It makes me really excited, actually. But yeah, this chest is DLC only, so as long as you have purchased that, then you will be able to grab this. It's kind of nice. It gives you 1 heat resistance, which it makes going to the desert early a little bit nicer. And honestly, you only need 2 total heat resistance for the entire game anyway, so if you have this piece and then you have the rest of it supplemented with just like a really low tier heat resistant elixir or something, then that gives you more than enough duration that you can explore even the hottest parts of the desert just with this 1 chest piece, which is great. There is one more thing we can do here, however, it is only available at night, so use a campfire and use that to change the time of day to make it night if it is not currently. And then what you want to do is warp back to the tower and then fly over to the middle of the Bridge of Hylia. Now, there is a quest that is available if you are playing on version 1.3.3, and that is just as long as your game is up to date with an internet connection, then you will get this quest automatically, and this will automatically be added to your quest journal as soon as you leave the Great Plateau for the first time. So what this is it's a joint event between Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it will allow you to get some items that are from that game. So the first one, or one of the pieces anyways, is available here. You want to go to the middle of the Bridge of Hylia and then face back towards just like to the left of the tower, and a red comet will fall from the sky at night and it will land on the nearby shore. Just want to ignore those alphas, doesn't matter, you can just ignore them, but once the comet lands, you can run over there and collect it. This armor set is kind of okay. What it does is it will increase your swimming speed, and it also will reduce the stamina cost of dashing in the water when you have a complete set. So that's kind of nice. It's a nice alternative to the Zora armor, and you can get it significantly earlier. Well, I guess sort of. It depends on where you're going, I suppose. But if you're not planning on getting the Zora set and upgrading it, then this is a nice alternative. Although, as a comment, it doesn't allow you to swim up waterfalls, so you are going to need the Zora chest piece for that. But yeah, that concludes this jaunt. Join me for the next video. We'll continue on with our Circuit of Hyrule. As always, huge thanks goes out to all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make this possible. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content just like this. Remember to stay awesome, you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.